Yesterday's video alluded to the fact that enthusiastic people being around us can have a positive impact on us. And that's actually what I want to talk about today. It's the way how the people that we interact with, the people we choose to keep in our lives to interact with on a regular basis, whether it's our coworkers, classmates, people we're building games with, or otherwise, in groups that we choose to place ourselves into, will have a massive impact on who we are, how we act, the way we develop, and just our experience of life. I remember when I was at some giant companies and I had people ask me what was it like there. And I said, well, my experience may not be indicative of everybody else's because it really comes down to the 6 people you interact with day to day, right? Who's your immediate boss? Who's your immediate supervisor? Who's your immediate colleagues? That sort of thing. No matter how many people are in there, depending on which 6 you have, different experience. Same thing happens at colleges, right? As to how was your experience at the school? A lot of it's got to do with who are the handful of people that day to day that person actually interacts with. And as we go into adulthood and out of college age and school age and those sort of situations, or out of our first jobs, we begin to have more options about where we put ourselves, about where we're living, about who we interact with, about who we choose to do things with, joining groups, participating in meetups, whatever it might be, finding who we want to be around, in part because we're going to become more like those people. And it's not because we're consciously copying those people. It's not because we are literally borrowing things from them. It's just because of how, as adaptive social creatures, that's how we were evolved to be. That the people that we're around, if they're productive, are going to be more productive. If people around are a little more rational about things, we will be a little more rational about things. If people around us are more enthusiastic, we'll be more enthusiastic. If people around us are consistently complaining, consistently looking for excuses, consistently just kind of settling for things that aren't as good as they're capable of, that's going to rub off on us too. And all this comes down to today is just being cognizant of the fact that to the degree that you have selection and say over who you're interacting with in your life, and to a large extent, you do, some maybe less so, but for the most part you do, that's going to change the path you wind up on. It's going to change the skills you develop. It's going to change the identity you foster. And yeah, just be cognizant of that, because it's going to affect, another way to look at it, it's going to affect the kind of things you produce. If you're someone who's making games, if you're someone who's making content, if you're someone who's doing podcasts, someone who's also doing YouTubes, whatever it might be, the people you choose to be around, it's going to feed its way back into the content that you produce. So, for example, when you listen to me, you're listening to, in part, right, stories of people who've spoken with me, stories of friends of mine, experiences that I've shared and talked to with others that came from the people that I've steered my way towards being around, interacting with, building projects with together, and so on. Popularly, I think this sort of thing is summarized as essentially that you are a combination of the 5 people you interact with. That applies often to all kinds of scales. Economically, that applies to scales. Socially, applies to scales. All kinds of cultural factors. But, just as a reminder, that's one of the things that's in your control and how you dictate the path that you're on in life. That's it for today. Have another video for you tomorrow.